It was a cold night in the Nevada desert. Dr. Evelyn Shaw stood alone outside the research station, staring up at the sky. The stars looked calm, like tiny lights painted on a black wall. But something out there was not calm. Inside, alarms started to beep. She rushed in. "Another one?" Evelyn asked as her assistant Mark pointed at the screen. "Yes," he said. "The same strange signal. It's repeating again. Same frequency, same code." Evelyn leaned over the computer. For the past 3 days, they had been receiving a signal from deep space. It came from a distant part of the galaxy. But it wasn't just a random sound. It was a message. And they had finally translated one word. Extinction. Its word had been repeated over and over. Nothing else. No greeting. No warning. Just one word. Evelyn's voice shook. Why would a peaceful species send a message like that? Mark frowned. What if they didn't send it to us? But about us? They stared at each other. Now the room went quiet. The signal had come from a planet that was no longer alive. A dead world. It's once filled with life. It was now covered in dust and ash. No oceans, no buildings. It's just ruins. The United Nations quickly got involved. Satellite footage showed something unusual. Ancient cities, clearly built by intelligent life, now reduced to stone and metal bones. A team was formed. Evelyn, one of the top astrophysicists, was sent with a crew to investigate. The journey took weeks. Their ship, the Horizon, reached orbit around the dead planet. They called it Kavros, the name taken from the old alien code. As they descended, silence filled the air. Not even wind moved across the surface. It felt like a tomb. The landing crew stepped onto the cracked ground, dust rising under their boots. Evelyn looked around. This place. It feels like something terrible happened here. They found broken statues of strange beings with long faces and forearms, signs of writing on black stone walls, all of it covered in scorch marks. Inside a ruined tower, they discovered a working data core. A hologram flickered to life. It showed one of the alien beings, old, tired, with fear in its eyes. Its voice was low and broken. To those who find this, beware the humans. We called them the Extinction event. They brought fire to the stars. If you hear their voices, run. The room went silent. No one spoke for a long time, and Evelyn whispered, "They're talking about us." "But we've never been here before," said another crew member. "That we know of," she answered. They sent the message back to Earth. Panic spread quickly. Were these aliens mistaking humans for someone else? Or was there a deeper truth? Soon, another discovery changed everything. Buried deep beneath the planet's surface, they found a chamber filled with carvings. The carvings showed tall humans, not aliens, walking among stars, leading massive ships. In their hands, they held weapons that could destroy planets. One panel showed a group of alien worlds burning, the human figure standing above them, arms raised. They believed humans were gods. Or devils, Mark said quietly. Evelyn shook her head. No, they didn't believe. They knew. Back on Earth, people started to ask questions. What if human history was incomplete? What if long ago humanity had been something more? Something powerful and something dangerous? Then came the second signal. This one didn't come from Kavros. It came from the edge of the solar system. A ship. Massive. Not human. The message was short. You have been found. Judgment comes. Earth prepared for war. But when the alien ship arrived, it didn't fire, simply stopped near Mars and sent a small shuttle to Earth. The world held its breath. The shuttle landed in a secure zone. Out came a single alien, thin, tall, wearing a silver robe. It did not speak at first. Its skin was covered in scars. Evelyn was chosen to speak with it. She stepped forward, her hands raised. My name is Evelyn Shaw. We are peaceful. The alien looked at her. Its large black eyes shimmered. It spoke slowly. You are the child of the storm. What do you mean? Evelyn asked. You have forgotten who you are. But we remember, the alien said, voice shaking. You burned 10,000 stars. You ended empires. And now, you wake again. We don't understand, she said. We've never left our planet. How can this be true? The alien stepped closer. Your kind sealed itself away. You erased your past. You chose to forget. But your blood remembers, and now you are awakening. Then, suddenly the alien fell to its knees. It began to shake violently, holding its head. It's coming again. The storm. ... The voice. ... Medical teams rushed in, but the alien was already dead, back at the research base. Evelyn studied the alien's final words. She compared the DNA records found on Cavro's 2 human DNA. There was a match. Not exact, but close enough. Humans and these ancient star wanderers were connected. How is this possible? Mark asked. Evelyn looked up, her face pale. What if we didn't evolve? By accident? What if we were created? Mark stepped back. By who? I think. By ourselves, Evelyn explained her theory. Long ago, humans had become too powerful. They destroyed galaxies. So they made a final choice. Erase their own memory, hide their history, and restart on one small planet called Earth. But now she said something is waking us up. Something we buried long ago. More signals began to come in. From across the stars, different languages. But one word was always the same. Extinction. World leaders gathered. Some wanted to destroy the alien ship. Others wanted peace. But time was running out. Evelyn had dreams, strange dreams. She saw herself walking through fire, leading ships, holding light in her hands. I think I'm remembering, she told Mark. Remembering what? Who we used to be. That night, the alien ship near Mars powered up. Energy levels spiked. Then it stopped. A new signal appeared, not from the ship, but from Earth itself, from deep underground, an ancient frequency never recorded before. And one word played again and again. Welcome home. Evelyn stood in the ship's observation room, her eyes locked on the planet below. Cavro's looked even more lifeless from above. Gray storms swirled across the surface. There were no green forests, no blue oceans, just dust, ruins, and silence. The voice was low. This world died in fear. Mark stood beside her, frowning, and it feared us. Their ship, the Horizon, had been orbiting the alien world for 2 days, but something didn't feel right. The deeper they went into the planet's ruins, the stranger things became. Evelyn and her team prepared to descend again. They were joined by a new face, Commander Bryce, a military leader sent from Earth after the aliens' warning. Why are we going back down? He asked as they entered the shuttle. Evelyn didn't look at him, because we found something down there that wasn't supposed to be found. The shuttle lowered through the atmosphere, shaking as it passed through layers of storm clouds. When they landed, the air was still and cold. The team moved carefully through the broken city. Buildings leaned like old bones, some half buried by sand. The carvings on the walls told a story of fear. In the center of the city stood a tower, black and twisted, shaped like a claw reaching toward the sky. It had not been damaged like the rest. It looked untouched. This wasn't destroyed by war, Evelyn said, pointing to the carvings. It was abandoned. Fast. Bryce raised his weapon, or it was sealed, ... for a reason. They entered. The tower inside, the walls were smooth, dark, and warm to the touch. Strange lights flickered on as they walked, as if the tower recognized them. At the center of the tower was a massive door, round and covered in silver lines. It hummed softly. A console blinked beside it. Mark touched it. The door slowly opened. Behind it was a chamber filled with glowing orbs, floating in the air like stars. Each orb showed a memory, scenes of the past. They watched in silence. The first orb showed a city in the sky, not on Earth, but filled with humans. We were out there. Evelyn whispered another orb showed humans speaking too. Alien races, forming alliances, then turning on them. Ships burning, worlds falling. One alien screamed as fire rained from the sky. "You were supposed to protect us." Then came the darkest orb. A figure, tall and cloaked in light, stood above a galaxy. It was human, but more than human. Its hands had held a weapon made of energy. Below it, planets crumbled. A deep voice echoed from the orb. Humanity rose beyond control. We were gods, and gods fell. Commander Bryce stepped back. "This isn't history. This is a warning." "No," Evelyn said. "It's a memory. One we buried." Mark looked pale. "But then, why are we seeing it now?" Evelyn pointed to the orbs. "Because the lock was never meant to stay closed forever. Someone knew we'd return." Suddenly the chamber trembled. One of the orbs turned red, then another, then all of them. The lights dimmed. Alarms began to echo, and the tower started to shake. "They know we're here," Bryce shouted. "Who knows?" Evelyn asked. "The ones who sealed this place," he said. They ran from the chamber, exiting just as the tower cracked. A red light shot from its tip into the sky. "A signal. Is that calling someone?" Mark asked. "No," Evelyn said, her voice shaking. "It's waking someone." Back aboard the Horizon, Earth Command made contact. A new energy reading had appeared from under Earth's own surface. Something ancient had activated, matching the Cavro's signal. "It's the same pattern," a voice said from the control room. "This tech isn't alien. It's human." Evelyn's heart dropped. "We've been sitting on our past the whole time." Another message arrived from deep space, this time from a nearby star system. A dying world called Nox, as it was a distress signal. But the message wasn't for help. It was a warning. They are waking. Prepare for the return of the N-kind. Back. In the lab, Evelyn studied the DNA files from Cavros again. She noticed something strange. A hidden strand, buried deep in human DNA, was slowly becoming active in some people. A piece of code. A piece that looked like it didn't belong. Mark pointed at the screen. "That wasn't there before. It's been there the whole time," Evelyn said. "It was just asleep." Bryce looked at her. "What happens when it fully wakes up?" She didn't answer. That night, Evelyn had another dream. She was standing in space, alone, watching stars explode around her. She saw her hands glowing, saw herself flying above cities, leading armies of light. Then she turned to look at herself in the dream. Her eyes were white. Her voice was hollow. "You were never meant to come back." She woke up screaming. The next morning, Earth Command announced a global emergency. Reports were coming in from all over the world, strange objects rising from underground, people having visions, technology activating on its own. One boy in India began to float above his village. A woman in Brazil spoke a lost alien language in her sleep. The news called them the Touched. Bryce was furious. "This is spreading. We need to shut it down." "Shut down what?" Evelyn asked. "This isn't a virus. It's our past." She turned to the team. "We're not discovering something new," she said. "We're remembering who we used to be. The rest of the universe is afraid we'll remember too much." Bryce lowered his voice. "Hey, maybe they're right." Then the final message came. It was from a satellite deep in space. Just one word: awakened. The ships. Alarms blared. An object had entered the solar system. It's bigger than anything they had ever seen. It was not alien. It was human-built. And it was heading for Earth. Evelyn watched the screen. Her voice was cold now. "They called us the Extinction event." She turned to Mark. "What if this is the moment we find out why?" The sky over Earth changed. What looked like a star grew larger every hour. But it wasn't a star. It was a ship, the size of a small moon, moving faster than anything human or alien had ever seen. News spread across the planet. Every TV screen, phone, and radio repeated the same phrase: "An unknown object is approaching Earth." Estimated arrival, 48 hours. Panic followed. People ran to shelters. Governments prepared weapons. But deep down, everyone knew this was not a war they could win with missiles. Back on the horizon, Evelyn and her team watched the massive object from orbit. "It's human-made," Mark said quietly. "But it's older than anything on Earth, Commander." Bryce crossed his arms. "Then who built it?" Evelyn didn't answer. She stared at the readings. The ship had no weapons pointed at Earth. No energy spikes. No signs of aggression. It was just watching, then it stopped near the moon. No movement, no messages, until a new signal came through. Evelyn's eyes widened as she read it aloud. "Dr. Evelyn Shaw, step forward. You have been chosen." That message repeated in every language on Earth. Mark looked at her. "It knows your name." "I didn't tell it anything," she said. Bryce turned sharply. "Then how does it know who you are?" Evelyn didn't reply. Her heart was pounding. A new order came from Earth Command. "Evelyn Shaw is to board the unknown ship immediately," Bryce argued. "You can't just send her alone. I'm going," Evelyn said. "This was meant for me." She took a deep breath, stepped into the dropship, and left the horizon behind. As the shuttle approached the giant vessel, the outer hull of the ship opened like a flower. A glowing path appeared, guiding her in. The ship swallowed the shuttle in silence. Inside, Evelyn stepped into a vast chamber. The walls pulsed with soft white light. The air smelled clean, untouched by time. It was completely quiet till a voice spoke. "Welcome back, child of the stars." It echoed in her mind. "Who are you?" she asked. A figure appeared in front of her, tall, glowing, human-shaped, but not human. Its eyes were endless white. "I am the Keeper," it said. "I have waited for your return." Evelyn's voice shook. "What am I doing here?" "You have been awakened," the Keeper replied. "We're the first of many. Your blood remembers. Your soul is unlocking." "I don't understand," she said. The Keeper walked toward her. "You are a descendant of the first ones, the rulers of galaxies, the humans who became gods." Evelyn stepped back. "We were never gods." The Keeper tilted its head. "Weren't you?" Suddenly images appeared all around her, holograms from the past. She saw humans leading vast fleets, bending light with their hands, standing above alien races. Then she saw the destruction, stars going dark, cities falling. Entire civilizations wiped out. "We did this," we whispered. Double quotes. "Yes, the Keeper," said Jay, "and you chose to forget." Evelyn felt cold. "Why bring me here now?" "Because the universe remembers," the Keeper said. "And it is afraid. But you must remember everything." He raised his hand. A beam of light hit Evelyn's forehead. Pain shot through her skull. Memories that weren't hers rushed in. Flying ships, speaking strange languages, leading armies. Watching stars burn, she screamed and collapsed. When she woke up, she was lying on a smooth platform. The Keeper stood nearby. "You now carry the spark," it said. "The same spark your ancestors buried." Evelyn slowly sat up. "So what happens?" "Now," the Keeper turned. "Now, others will come, and not all will choose peace." On Earth, strange things were already happening. More people had started to show signs. A child in Africa lifted a car with one hand. A teacher in Japan walked into fire and came out unharmed. A man in Russia spoke in a forgotten star language. They were being called the Awakened. Some feared them. Some worshipped them. Others wanted to control them. Commander Bryce was back on Earth speaking to global leaders. "They're changing," he said. "We don't know what they're becoming, but we can't wait to find out if it's dangerous." "Do you wanna fight them?" one leader asked. "No," Bryce replied. "I want to understand what happens when they remember too much." Meanwhile, Evelyn was still inside the ancient ship. The Keeper led her to a large room filled with floating stones. Each stone held a name. "These are the names of the first humans," the Keeper said. "The ones who led the last war." Evelyn asked. "Where are they now?" "Gone," he said. "Or hiding." Some locked themselves inside new bodies. Others became part of machines, but their spirits remain. Evelyn touched one stone. Suddenly a vision struck her. She saw herself, but not as Evelyn. She wore armor made of stars, flying across space, speaking in a voice that echoed across time. She gave a single command, and 3 planets disappeared. She pulled her hand away, gasping, "That was me?" "No," the keeper said. "That was who you once were, and who you may become again." Evelyn's hands trembled. "I don't want that," she said. "I don't want to be someone who kills." The keeper paused. "Then change the story this time," he said. Back on Earth, the number of awakened grew. Some used their powers to help, others to control. Small cities fell into chaos. Old weapons no longer worked against them. One group called themselves the Flameborn. They believed the ancient humans were right to rule. They believed they should rise again and take over the stars. They had found an ancient weapon buried under the Himalayas. Bryce watched satellite images of the weapon rising from the ice. It looked like a giant silver spider with glowing red eyes. "They're going to start a war," he said. Evelyn returned to Earth with the Keeper's warning. "We must choose now," she told the world leaders. "Memory is power, but power must be guided, or it will destroy us again." But it was already too late. The Flameborn sent out a message. "We are the rightful rulers of the stars. The cycle begins again. Submit or burn." Bryce looked at Evelyn. "What do we do?" She turned to him. Her eyes were no longer just human. "We stopped them, not with fear, not with fire, but by remembering who we were and choosing to be better." Bryce nodded. "Then let's begin." In the skies, old machines awakened. In hidden caves, old gods stirred, and far beyond, the stars watched quietly. Dark clouds rolled over New Delhi. People screamed in the streets as the sky turned red for 10 seconds, then faded back to normal. It wasn't a natural storm. It was something else, something old. Something watching news reports called it the memory pulse. Similar events were happening across the world. Tokyo, Cape Town, Rio, and London. Everywhere the awakened were growing stronger and stranger inside a secure underground base. Commander Bryce looked at the screen in front of him. "We've confirmed over 200 new cases," said the technician. "More every hour?" He nodded grimly. "And the Flameborn? They've disappeared. But their weapon, it's moving." Bryce turned to his second in command. "Keep tracking it, and find me Dr. Evelyn Shaw." Far away. Evelyn stood inside a hidden cave in Egypt. The walls were covered in glowing marks, ancient symbols from a lost time. She traced her fingers across them. "These are human," she whispered. Mark stepped beside her. "But this place is over 50,000 years old. Humans weren't supposed to be that advanced back then, unless we were," she said. "And then we forgot." They had followed a trail of signals, here buried code hidden in the alien message from Kavros. It led them to this cave sealed for thousands of years. As they moved deeper, Evelyn felt something pulling at her thoughts, like whispers in the dark. Memories she had never lived. She saw flashes, her hand pressing a glowing button, a tower. Rising into the sky, thousands of voices shouting her name. Mark saw her face go pale. "You okay?" he asked. "I remember being here," she said slowly. They reached the heart of the cave. A black stone sphere floated in the air, humming. Evelyn stepped forward. As she touched it, her body froze. Her eyes turned white. She saw a war. Humans. Flying across space in ships made of light, their enemies. Strange shadow creatures made of pure energy. The humans were winning, but they changed, grew cruel. Cold, they turned on their allies. Burned cities. Erased entire species. She saw a council of humans arguing. "We've become the monsters." "Ah." One said. Another replied, "Then let's erase the monsters." Created a plant to erase their memories, seal their powers, and start over on a quiet planet, Earth. When Evelyn pulled her hand back, tears ran down her face. "We did this to ourselves," she whispered, "to save the universe from us." Back at the UN Emergency Command Center, Bryce was in a meeting with global leaders. The number of awakened is now over 5,000, he said. They're developing faster, stronger. We can't contain. Them a leader asked, "What if they don't want to be contained?" Bryce was silent. Another spoke. "Some want to rule. Some want to help. But if too many remember the old power, we won't survive it this time." Bryce nodded. "This is no longer just a human problem. This is a memory war." At an unknown location, the Flameborn gathered. Their leader, a woman with glowing red eyes and silver veins, stepped forward. She called herself Cerise. "We are the true children of the stars," she said to her followers. "We were gods once. The universe bowed before us. But we gave it all away for what? Peace. Weakness. No more hiding," she growled. "We will rise again, and those who stand against us will burn." Behind her, the weapon they found in the Himalayas came. Online, it was called the Judgment Core, an old-world machine powered by memory energy. It had the power to erase cities from existence. They set their target. Cairo. Evelyn returned to the horizon, stationed in orbit again. Bryce greeted her with urgency. "We've confirmed the Flameborn have activated a world killer." Evelyn's. The voice was firm. "Where?" "Cairo. Less than 48 hours. Evelyn closed her eyes. "If they use it, the universe will see it as proof that humans are still the extinction event." Bryce nodded. "We can't let that happen," Mark rushed. "And wait, there's something else." He showed Evelyn a map of lanes connecting the memory pulse events. They all formed a pattern. Code, nah. Evelyn looked closer. "It's coordinates to where?" Bryce asked. Evelyn's voice lowered.
To him.
"Deep under Antarctica, buried in ice and stone, was a chamber untouched by time. Inside lay a man, not breathing, not moving, frozen, but his heart still beat. Once every minute, he was the first one, the one who led the memory purge, the one who chose to end the reign of godlike humans. He was called Varen, and the coordinates pointed to him." Evelyn stood at the edge of the chamber, staring down at his sleeping body. "I've seen him in my dreams," she said. "He was my commander, maybe my friend, or maybe my enemy. I don't know." Mark looked nervous. "What if waking him makes things worse?" Evelyn touched the ice. "And what if he's the only one who can stop what's coming?" The chamber lit up. Varen's eyes opened. In Cairo, the Flameborn began their countdown. Civilians were evacuated. Panic spread. Soldiers were helpless. The Judgment Core glowed red, building power. Cerise smiled. "The stars will see our fire." Eisenly Evelyn's voice rang through a broadcast across all channels. "This is Dr. Evelyn Shaw. If you can hear me, stand down. You don't have to become what we once were." Cerise responded with a live message. "We are who we were. That's the point." Evelyn spoke again. "No, we were cruel. We destroyed too much. But we chose to forget so we could become something better. That choice matters." Cerise laughed. "Then you are still weak." She activated the core. The countdown hit 10 seconds. Then Varen arrived. He stepped out of a ship glowing with old tech. His presence alone caused machines to stop working. He raised one hand. The core shut down instantly. The sky cracked with light all around the world. The awakened felt something shift. Varen spoke softly. "I remember everything. I remember the blood, the fire, the fall." We turned to Cerise, and I remember why we chose to forget. She tried to fight, but with a simple gesture, took her power away. The Flameborn scattered. The Judgment Core was buried once more. The war was paused. That night, Evelyn and Varen stood on a balcony, overlooking the silent city. "You stopped her?" she said. "For now," he replied. Evelyn looked at him. "Are there more like you?" "Yes," he said, sleeping, waiting. "Some will choose peace. Some will not. What do we do?" Varen looked up at the stars. "We guide. We remember. We make sure we never become the monsters again." But in the dark corners of the galaxy, others had seen the light, and they were coming. The stars above Earth looked peaceful, but Evelyn knew better now. Nothing in the galaxy was truly peaceful, not after what she had learned inside the underground base. Evelyn stared at the ancient screen in front of her. Old data scrolled. Across it, in a language she didn't know, but somehow understood. "These records, they're from before Earth," she whispered. Mark leaned over her shoulder. "How old are they?" "Millions of years," she said. "From the first human empire." Before we erased ourselves, Commander Bryce entered the room. "Are we sure it's a good idea to dig this deep?" Evelyn didn't look up. "We don't have a choice. If we don't understand who we were, we'll never know what's coming." Bryce stayed quiet. The attack on Cairo had changed everything. Humanity had almost fallen into darkness again. Only the sudden return of Varen, the first one, had stopped it. But peace wouldn't last long, because a new message had arrived. This one didn't come from Earth, or the dead world of Kavros. It came from deep space, from a hidden planet called Drethos. The message was short, like the first one. "They are waking. Lock the vault, or all life will fall." Bryce asked, "What's the vault?" Evelyn took a shaky breath. "It's where we hid the truth." They followed the coordinates from the message. The vault was hidden on one of Jupiter's moons, Callisto, buried beneath miles of ice. Varen stood at the front of the ship as it approached. His eyes were distant. "I remember building it," he said. "We thought we could bury the past forever?" Evelyn asked. "What's inside?" "Everything," he said. "Weapons, knowledge, technology, and something else." The ship landed in silence. The moon's surface was quiet, but the ice below vibrated with energy. They drilled through layers of frozen rock until they reached a black chamber, smooth, glowing with ancient markings. Inside the vault, lights turned on one by one as if welcoming them back. Mark whispered, "This place feels alive." Evelyn stepped into the central hall. In the middle stood a tall black pillar. On it, words appeared in hundreds of alien languages and human. "Warning, do not open. Memory must remain lost. Power must sleep." Varen placed his hand on the pillar. It split open with a hiss. Inside was a glowing cube, pulsing like a heart. Evelyn stared at it. "What is that?" Varen's face darkened. "The core. The memory core. It holds the full truth." Bryce frowned. "Didn't we already know the truth?" Varen looked at him. "No, we only knew what we were allowed to remember." Evelyn touched the cube, and the world around her disappeared. She stood in space, far from Earth, watching the ancient war unfold again. But this time, it was clearer, sharper. She saw how humans rose across the stars, not as heroes, but conquerors. They called themselves the Eternals. They didn't fight for survival. They fought for control. They didn't protect weaker species. They used them. Then she saw something worse. A secret project. The Eternals created a weapon, not a machine, but a being. A perfect human. No fear, no weakness, no heart. They called him Averos, the final flame. He was designed to lead the next phase of the Eternal Empire, to finish what the others could not. But something went wrong. Averos turned on them. He believed that the only way to stop the cycle of war was to erase all life. Planets vanished in seconds. Even the other Eternals could not stop him. In the end, they sealed him away, deep in space, and erased their own memory to prevent his return. Evelyn dropped to her knees. Now she understood. The real reason the galaxy feared humans. It wasn't just their power, it was him, Averos, the one who nearly destroyed everything, and he was still out there. Evelyn woke up on the floor of the vault. Her breathing was heavy, her hands shook. "He's real," she said. "Averos is the one they all fear." Varen nodded slowly. "He was our greatest creation and our greatest mistake. If he's still alive, why hasn't he returned?" "He's trapped," Varen said, "sealed behind a wall of light in the rift zone." "But the wall is weakening," Evelyn added. "Every time one of us awakens, that wall cracks." Bryce ran a hand through his hair. "So what do we do?" kill every awakened. No, Evelyn said firmly. We guide them. We teach them. Averos won't be the only monster. Suddenly, alarms blared through the vault. Mark shouted from a console. Incoming ship. It's not from Earth. He rushed to the screen. Ship had appeared outside the moon, long black, covered in armor like teeth. Not alien. Not human. Something in between. It's one of his, Varen said. A shadow vessel. His loyal ones. The ship began firing. Evelyn and the team escaped. The vault just in time. Explosions ripped through the ice as they flew away, heading back to Earth, but part of the vault was gone, and the core. With it, Avros's followers had stolen the memory. Now he would know they were awake. Back on Earth, strange dreams haunted. People more awakened began to speak in the voice of someone else. A deep, calm voice, full of power. I am the final fire. The stars belong to me. The Flameborn returned, more organized, more dangerous. Some now carried weapons made of pure light. They called themselves the Remembered. Evelyn stood in the UN command center. Looking at the news, cities were falling into chaos again. We're out of time, Bryce said. Varen stepped forward. Then we must find the rift. Before Averos does. How? Mark asked. We'll follow the signal, Evelyn said. He's waking up, and he's calling to us. In the deep cold of space, behind a veil of collapsed stars, a black moon began to glow. Chains of light cracked, and inside the chamber, eyes opened. A voice spoke. They remember. Hey. Then so shall I. Averos had returned, and the galaxy would burn, lest someone stopped him. The moonlit sky over southern Chile flickered like a broken screen. For 3 full minutes, the stars above vanished, swallowed by something that could not be seen. Then the rift opened, high in the atmosphere.
Oh.
A glowing tear appeared in the sky. It shimmered with strange colors, blue, green, black, and red. All at once, scientists at the Cerro Paranal Observatory went silent. One of them whispered, "It's not space. It's something outside space." In less than an hour, the tear had grown large enough to be seen from 5 continents. Back at UN command, alarms blared. The rift was real, and it was growing fast. Evelyn stood at the main console, eyes locked on the screen. "That's where he's coming through," she said. "Averos." Bryce stared at her. "Then we only have one option. Close it." Varen stepped forward. Calm as always. "You can't close the rift," he said. "You can only enter it." Evelyn turned to him. "Then we go in." 3 days later, the horizon hovered at the edge of Earth's orbit, facing the rift. It glowed like a bleeding wound. In the fabric of space, Bryce looked out the window. "Are we sure this isn't suicide?" Evelyn adjusted her gear. "We're not sure of anything. But if Averos is inside, we have to reach him before he crosses over." Varen placed his palm on the ship's control crystal. "The ship is ready." As the vessel entered the rift, everything outside went silent. No stars, no time, only memory. Inside the rift, reality bent. The ship floated through a storm of images, memories that weren't theirs. Children crying on alien worlds, planets exploding under the eternal fleet, Averos standing on a tower. Arms wide, eyes full of burning stars, Evelyn gripped the railing. "Tightly, this place is made of memory." Varen nodded. "The rift is where forgotten things live, and some of them don't want to be forgotten." Suddenly the ship shook. A creature appeared outside the window mass of serpentine, made of smoke and broken faces. It slammed into the hull. Mark screamed, "It's trying to get inside our minds." Varen closed his eyes and whispered something in the old tongue. A pulse of light burst from the ship, blasting the creature away. Evelyn breathed hard. "Was that thing?" "A memory wraith," Varen replied. "Feeds on regret." As the ship moved deeper, they saw something impossible. An entire city floating in the rift. Massive towers. Roads made of gold light. Symbols glowing in the air. It was human, Evelyn gasped. Is this? Yes, Varen said. Our capital, before we erased it. The city was abandoned but not dead. In the center stood a monument, a statue of a man Dadaveros beneath it. An open doorway glowed. The ship landed. Inside the chamber, a platform pulsed with light. Evelyn stepped onto it, and the room responded. A voice echoed through the walls. Evelyn Shaw, genetic match confirmed. Eternal class, advisor. Access granted. Mark raised an eyebrow. You had clearance? Evelyn was just as shocked, I guess. I used to. The platform lit up with a map showing the location of a prison far inside the rift. The Vault of Chains. A place built to hold something too powerful to kill. Bryce leaned over the map. That's where he is. Varen nodded. Averos. Suddenly, the city shook. Sirens echoed through the rift. An army appeared. Thousands of figures cloaked in shadow. Glowing eyes. No faces. Rising from the edges of memory. The remnants. Avroses. Loyal soldiers. They had found them. Bryce shouted, We're surrounded. Evelyn activated the platform. There's a teleport point, but it's dangerous and stable. Varen drew a blade of light from his arm. I'll hold them. Go. Mark shook his head. We're not leaving you. Varen turned, smiling faintly. I've lived longer than all of you. If I fall, I'll remember it well. Before anyone could stop him, he charged into the remnants. The teleport platform activated Evelyn. Mark and Bryce vanished. They landed in the Vault of Chains. It was cold, silent, floating in darkness. Inside, a figure hung in the air, arms spread. Eyes closed. Averos. He looked peaceful, but the energy around him was, terrifying, like gravity bending sideways. Evelyn approached slowly. This is him. Mark whispered, We should leave. But Bryce stepped forward. No. We need to know why he did it. As they approached, Avros's eyes opened. No pupils, only fire. He smiled. I was wondering when you'd come. Evelyn froze. You, remember? Me. I remember all of you, Averos said. You were the ones who voted to seal me. I forgave you. I had to. You were afraid. Bryce raised his gun. Stay back. Averos didn't move. Tell me, he said. Do you understand yet? Why I wanted to burn it all down? Evelyn stayed calm. Because you thought power had to be destroyed. No, Averos said. Because power without purpose is chaos. We built empires. Then we forgot. Now you repeat the same mistakes. He looked into her eyes. You unlocked the vault. Took back your memory. Started another war. What did you think would happen? Mark stepped forward. So what now? You burn the galaxy again? Averos tilted his head. No, I won't burn. It, he smiled. I'll lead it. Suddenly, the chains holding him snapped. Evelyn screamed, No. Averos touched the ground. The vault cracked open. A burst of light shot into the sky, and outside the rift, the stars trembled. Averos had returned. And this time, he wasn't here to destroy humanity. He was here to unite it by force. The rift spat them out. Evelyn, Mark, and Bryce collapsed onto the floor of the horizon, gasping for breath. Around them, alarms blared. Red lights flashed. We made it out, Mark whispered, shaking. But Evelyn wasn't relieved. She looked up. At the stars, they were wrong. The stars were shifting. He's out, she said. Averos escaped. On Earth, strange things were happening. People began to see visions. Children spoke in languages no one had taught them. And in the skies above cities, glowing red symbols appeared, then vanished like ghosts. The world panicked. In Washington, Evelyn stood before the United Nations Council. We're not facing a man, she said. We're facing a memory, one that's too strong to die, leaders argued. Some wanted to surrender. Others wanted to launch every weapon they had into space. But Evelyn warned them all. If you attack first, you'll wake his wrath. He doesn't hate humanity. He wants to control it, shape it. and if we resist, he'll crush us. They didn't. Believe her, they would soon. Averos didn't return to Earth like a conqueror. Instead, he spoke, across every screen, every radio. Every digital device, his voice came through, calm, deep. Ancient sons and daughters of the forgotten. You have wandered long in darkness. I offer light. The wars, the hunger, the chaos. I ended it once. I can end it again. Will join me, or vanish like the rest. Some believed him, others didn't, but the message was clear. Averos was building something, a new empire, from a hidden base on the dark side of the moon. Evelyn and her team watched in silence. He's not attacking, Bryce said. Why? He doesn't need to, Evelyn replied. People are joining him. Screens showed live feeds of cities where thousands stood in streets with glowing marks on their arms, the chosen voluntarily giving up control, letting Averos. Inside their minds, Mark clenched his fists. He's rewriting them. Varen, who had somehow survived the remnants, limped into the room. He's not changing their minds. He's awakening what was always there. Evelyn looked at him.
Odd.
Mean the eternal blood? Varen nodded. We were built to follow. He was built to lead. As days passed, the entire governments fell without a single shot. Satellite footage showed a massive ring structure forming in space. Orbiting Jupiter, not a weapon. A throne. Averos was making it clear. He wasn't hiding anymore. He was home. Evelyn called an emergency meeting. We have to stop him now, she said. Before he finishes whatever he's building. Mark looked unsure. With what army? Most of the fleets joined him. Bryce stood. Then we make a new army. Everyone turned to him. I've been working with a group, quietly. Those who didn't surrender, soldiers, scientists, civilians, survivors we call ourselves. The spark, Evelyn raised an eyebrow. You built a resistance? He nodded. And we've been waiting for a reason to strike. A week later, deep in a hidden asteroid field, the spark gathered thousands of humans from every nation background and belief. They wore no uniforms. They didn't follow orders, but they believed that Averos must be stopped. Evelyn stood before them. When I first learned the truth about our past, I was ashamed. We weren't heroes. We were tyrants. But we can be more than our memory. She raised her voice. Averos is powerful. But power alone doesn't make you right. We don't need gods. We need hope. Cheers echoed across the base. The spark was lit. Meanwhile, on the ring above Jupiter, Averos sat in silence. In his hands, he held a shard of the core. Through it, he could see the entire human race, each mind like a candle. Some flickered in doubt. Others burned in loyalty. But a few burned against him. He frowned. They still resist. A woman stepped into the room. Tall, dark-skinned, eyes glowing red. Her name was Lyra, a former general. Now one of the chosen, let me destroy them, she said. The spark will fade with fire. Averos shook his head. No, let them come. He smiled. I want them to see. The spark's plan was simple, but dangerous. They would strike the ring before Averos could finish it. Mark, now leading a stealth squad, would plant disruptors across the ring's inner structure. Evelyn, Varen, and Bryce would confront Averos. Directly, not to fight, but to force a decision, to show him there was another way. But no one expected what came next. As they approached the ring, something strange happened. The ring opened for them. No guns, no defenses, only silence. Inside the ring, they found halls of crystal and metal glowing with the same symbols seen in the rift, and at the center, Averos waited alone. No guards, no weapons, just him. Evelyn stepped forward. You're not afraid? Averos smiled. Of course I am, but fear is not weakness. It is clarity. Varen stepped beside her. You built all this? Just to rule again? I built it, Averos said, to protect you. Bryce laughed bitterly. By erasing our will? Averos stood. I am not your enemy. I am your cure. You destroyed yourselves once. You'll do it again, unless someone takes control. He held out his hand. Join me. We rebuild the eternal order the right way. Evelyn stared at him and said one word. No. Suddenly, alarms screamed. Mark's voice came through the comm. Something's wrong. The disruptors. They've been triggered early. A massive tremor shook the ring. Then, a flash dot in space. A portion of the ring exploded. Fire and debris spiraling outward. Averos didn't move. Evelyn gasped. We didn't do this, no, Averos said calmly. Someone else did. On a far screen, an unknown fleet appeared. Ships not from Earth, or from Avros's side. Alien, massive, and hungry. V.A. Aaron paled. They followed him. Who? Bryce asked. The ones we fought before memory. The true enemies. The stars dimmed, and a voice cold, inhuman, echoed across space. We warned you. You remembered. Now you will be unmade. And so, the real war began. Not just for Earth, but for everything. The alien ships didn't come in silence. They came with screams. Soundless screams transmitted into every mind. Not in words, feelings. Terror, dread, hopelessness. Evelyn clutched her head. It felt like her memories were being torn apart. Beside her, Bryce dropped to his knees. What? ... What is that? Aaron growled, forcing himself upright. They are the architects of the void, the ones who created the eternal order, and tried to destroy it. Evelyn blinked through pain. Why now? Why are they here? Averos stood still, eyes glowing brighter than ever. They followed me. They feared I would rise again. From the broken sky, the first alien ship descended. It wasn't shaped like anything human, not a ship, or like a scar in space, opening wider and wider, and from within they came. Not one, not many, a wave. Black, thin-bodied creatures with too many limbs, eyes like shattered glass, and skin that shimmered like oil. They didn't fly. They moved through space, through walls, through minds. Mark's voice crackled through the comm. We've got incoming. Hundreds no, thousands. Evelyn grabbed her weapon. Everyone fall back. Get to the ship. Averos didn't move. Go! I'll hold them. Bryce glared. You think we're going to just leave you? The ground trembled. Something large landed behind them. One of the architect's 10 stories. Tall bones exposed, face unreadable lifted its arm. The air turned to dust around it. Averos raised his own arm. Light exploded outward, slamming into the monster. It screamed a high, alien sound and shattered into smoke. I will not let them take what I built, Averos said. Evelyn turned. Then fight with us, not above us, with us. Averos paused. Then finally he nodded. Back aboard the horizon. Chaos reigned. The Sparks fleet tried to fight back, but Earth's weapons barely scratched the alien ships. Lasers melted. Missiles vanished before reaching their targets. The aliens were bending the laws of physics. They're not using weapons. Mark shouted. They're using memory. Bryce looked at him, confused. What? It, Mark pointed. Every time a spark ship was hit, its metal didn't burn. It forgot it was solid. Armor peeled away like mist. Steel became gas. Pilots vanished. They're erasing matter, Mark whispered, turning reality off. Varen closed his eyes. They're unmaking everything we know. That is their power. That is why we erased them from memory. Evelyn clenched her jaw. Then it's time we remember how to fight. With Averos at their side, a new plan formed. He revealed something he'd kept hidden, a weapon. Built inside the ring, powered by fragments of the old eternal core. It's not finished, he said, but it can disrupt their control over reality for a short time. Evelyn stared at the design. It won't kill them? No, Averos said, but it will make them mortal. Bryce leaned over. How short is short? For minutes, Averos replied. Maybe 5. That's not a battle, Mark said. That's a countdown. Evelyn looked each of them in the eye. Then we make those minutes count. As Earth's skies turned red, the horizon flew. Straight into the swarm, pilots from the Spark fought back-to-back with chosen warriors. Humans, Eternals, even defected aliens. For once, all of humanity stood as one. Averos flew ahead, clearing a path with blazing energy. Inside the ring, Mark and Bryce planted the core weapon. Varen stood by the trigger. "I'll activate it manually," he said. Evelyn shook her head. "No way. We need you alive." Varen smiled. "I'm already dying, Evelyn. Let me do something that matters." She grabbed his hand. "You already did?" He gave her one last look, then disappeared into the chamber. The countdown began, a signal. Pulsed across the stars, and for 4 minutes. The aliens bled. For the first time, their skin cracked, their bones broke, their ships fell like ash. Humans shouted in triumph. For a brief moment, the impossible seemed winnable, until the Queen appeared. Not a ship, not a creature, something bigger. It filled the sky. It had no form, just a presence. A massive void in the stars, surrounded by thunder. Evelyn felt her body freeze. Her thoughts slowed. And for a terrifying second, she felt something inside her mind whisper, "You are not real." Averos screamed enraged. He flew straight at the Queen. Light burst from his hands, his eyes, his chest. "I am not your creation," he roared. "I am the end you fear." He struck the Queen's heart, and the world shattered. The rift reopened. This time, larger, not in orbit, on Earth, across continents. Cracks in the sky formed, leaking light, memory, and destruction. Mountains turned to dust, oceans boiled. People screamed as the past and future collided. Mark shouted, "Overcomes." The weapons, destabilizing. "Bryce, we have to shut it down." Evelyn, "No, it's too late. This is the price of remembering." Baron's voice came through, faint but clear. "Remember who you are, and fight." Then the weapon detonated. White light blinded the sky, and everything went still. When Evelyn opened her eyes, she was falling, not through air. Through time, she saw herself fat 10 years old. Looking at the stars, she saw the moment she first touched the ancient ship. She saw her mother whisper, "You are more than they say." Then she hit the ground hard. She woke up in a forest alone. No ship, no gear, no team, just silence, until a voice spoke behind her. "I found you." She turned. It was herself, but older, wiser, wounded. The older Evelyn stepped forward. "It's not over," she said. Evelyn blinked. "What is this place?" "A memory," the older version said. "A weapon. A chance." Evelyn swallowed. "Did we win?" "No," her older self said. "Not yet." She pointed at the sky, where the rift still glowed, and from it, something even worse was coming. The forest was quiet. Too quiet. Evelyn stared at her older self. The woman looked like she had fought through fire, storms, and worse. Her face was scarred, her eyes tired but strong. "What is this place?" Evelyn asked again. The older Evelyn looked around at the tall trees and blue sky. "This is not Earth. It's not the past either. It's memory. A pocket inside the rift." Evelyn touched her arm. Body felt real. "You pulled me in?" she asked. "No, the rift chose you," her older self replied. "You're the last hope." Evelyn shook her head. "Last hope of what?" "To end this. Once and for all?" Back on the real Earth, what was left of it, the sky burned. The Queen of the Architects had shattered the core weapon's effect. The Sparks fleet was broken. Half the planet was unrecognizable. Some cities blinked out of existence as if they had never been built. Mark lay buried under rubble. He groaned, pushing himself up. He couldn't see Bryce, couldn't see the horizon. He only saw the sky torn wide open, glowing white, and from it they kept coming. Creatures without name, without form, crawling through reality like rot through wood. Then, out of nowhere, Averos appeared, burned, bleeding, barely standing, but still alive. He lifted his hands, summoning what energy he had left. Not yet, he whispered. You will. Not take what remains. Light burst from him, knocking the creatures back, but he couldn't hold them forever. Inside the memory forest, Evelyn walked with her older self. Tell me what happened, she said. The older Evelyn didn't answer. At first, then she stopped walking. I failed, she said. I believed we could reason with Averos. I believed we could stop the architects by remembering. But the truth is, the more we remember, the more real they become. You're saying we gave them power? Yes, her older self whispered, because memory is creation.
Us.
How they work? They were forgotten, so they were gone. But we brought them back. Evelyn stared at the trees. Then we made a mistake. No, her older self said. We made a choice. She stepped forward and placed a hand on Evelyn's chest. But you can make a different one. Bryce crawled from the wreckage of a crashed fighter. His leg was broken. Smoke filled the air. He could barely hear the others. He limped toward a small rise, dragging himself over burned grass and broken glass. There he saw something that made him stop. A girl, no older than 10, walking calmly through the chaos. Fear in her eyes, he called out. Hey, stop, you'll be hurt. She turned. Her eyes were pitch black. She smiled, not a human smile. Bryce froze. Then the girl whispered, in a voice that echoed across his mind. You are all stories. We are the ending. And she vanished. In the memory forest, Evelyn felt something shift. The trees trembled. Her older self staggered. They've found this place. You have to go. Where? Evelyn asked. What do I do? Back. With a choice, the older Evelyn said. One final choice? Evelyn stared at her. What choice? Her older self stepped back. To remember or to forget. The forest cracked around them. Light poured through the sky. Screams echoed. They want the universe to forget itself, the older Evelyn said. But if we forget them, first every trace of them, we can seal the rift again. But we'll lose everything, Evelyn said. All knowledge of the Eternals, the truth about us, the truth about who we are. Yes, her older self said, but we'll survive. Evelyn's hands shook. I don't know what's right. The older version of her smiled sadly. No one ever does. Then she vanished in light, and Evelyn fell. She woke up inside the horizon. Alarms were blaring. People screamed. The hull was cracking. Mark was holding her shoulders. Evelyn, you're back. She gasped for air. How long was I gone? Minutes? Mark said. We thought we lost you. Bryce appeared beside them, bleeding but alive. You saw something, didn't you? I? Evelyn nodded. A choice. We don't have long. Averos stumbled into the room. I've held them back as long as I can, he said, breathing heavily. But they're consuming reality now. We must decide. Evelyn looked at him. You were right, she said, but so was I. You can't destroy them, she continued. Not directly. But we can lock them out. Mark looked confused. How? By forgetting, she said. We erase all knowledge of the architects, all memory, all history, even the Eternals. Bryce's eyes widened. Then humanity starts over. Yes, Evelyn said. As humans, no gods, no cosmic truths, just us. Averos looked down. Then I died too. No, Evelyn said gently. You become a myth, he smiled. That's enough. They returned to the rift. It pulsed like a living wound in the sky. Evelyn held the last core shard, the only remaining piece of the ancient memory drive. She placed it into the rift's heart and began the rewrite, not of reality, of memory. Every known record of the architects. 8. The war, the Eternals, began to unravel. Libraries turned blank. Hard drives melted, minds shifted. Mark felt it first. He dropped to his knees. I'm forgetting your name. Bryce staggered. Where are we? Why am I crying? Averos closed his eyes and whispered his last words. Let it be. Just a dream. Then the rift closed. A flash of light swallowed the sky, and silence fell. Evelyn woke up under a blue sky. The birds were singing. She was lying on a bench in a park. Children played nearby. A man walked his dog. Everything was peaceful. She sat up. Slowly. No pain. No alarms, no war. A boy passed by on a hoverboard. "Morning, miss," she smiled. "Morning." But something deep inside her whispered, a memory, a dream, a name she couldn't quite remember. She touched the silver chain around her neck. There was no pendant, just a small, empty ring. She closed her hand around it and whispered to herself, "We were more than they knew." The wind carried her words away. Above, the sky remained whole, but very, very far beyond it. A single glowing eye blinked once and vanished. The sun rose like nothing had ever gone wrong. Birds flew quietly over cities that didn't remember they were once burning. People smiled, unaware that the sky had ever cracked open. There were no monsters, no aliens, no war, just peace. But not for everyone. Evelyn sat at the edge of a rooftop, staring at the morning light. A warm breeze passed over her face. Below her, life moved on. Children went to school. Shops opened. Cars hummed quietly on clean roads. She had been sitting there since dawn, trying to understand what remained. Mark walked up behind her. He looked tired, like he hadn't slept in days, but peaceful. "You okay?" he asked. Evelyn gave a faint smile. "I should be, but I'm not." Mark sat beside her. "I know the feeling." They were the only two who remembered. The weapon hadn't erased everyone's memories, just most of them. Few minds had resisted the rewrite. Too strong, too scarred, too aware. "I still see their eyes when I close mine," Evelyn whispered. "The architects." She nodded slowly. "They looked at us like we were the problem, like we were the disease." Mark sighed. "Maybe we were. Or maybe we just reminded them what they used to be." They sat in silence for a while. Then Mark asked the question neither of them wanted to face. "Did we make the right choice?" Evelyn didn't answer right away. Instead, she pointed across the city. A little girl was dancing in the park. Her father clapped as she spun and laughed. "Does it matter?" she finally said. "They get to live. That's enough for me." Far away, on the edge of the galaxy where no telescope could see and no probe could reach, something old stirred. The architects were not truly dead. They were forgotten, which, for now, meant the same thing. But forgetting is not forever, and in the dark between stars, memory always tries to return. One of the architects floated through a silence deeper than space. Its form had changed, no longer strong, no longer feared. It was just a shadow now, but it whispered a name, Evelyn, across the distance of nothingness. A whisper came back. "I remember you." Back on Earth, Bryce stepped out of a building and looked at the sky. He was in uniform again, commander of Earth's space fleet, but now it was just for show. There were no wars, no threats, only peace. But Bryce didn't trust peace. He never had. He'd been one of the first to feel the rift break open, one of the last to come back, and now he was one of the few who remembered everything. He checked his comm. A message from Evelyn. "Meet me. It's time." He frowned, then grabbed his coat. The place Evelyn had chosen was simple. The old underground hangar where the horizon once stood. Now it was a museum. Most people didn't even know what they were looking at, just strange old tech, dusty relics. But to Evelyn, it was where the real war ended, the memory war began. Bryce joined her by the old ship remains. Mark arrived seconds later. All three stood in silence, staring at the cracked engine core. "This is where we saved the world," Mark said softly. "Or erased it," Bryce replied. Evelyn turned. "You still think we were wrong?" Bryce crossed his arms. "I think we ran. I think we chose ignorance." Mark stepped in. "We chose survival, and maybe that's okay." Evelyn walked to a console, still, functionally, and pulled out a small device. It glowed faintly, a spark of memory. Not everyone forgot, she said. Some people are remembering. Dreams, feelings, faces they can't explain. Bryce looked serious. Then it's starting again. Evelyn nodded. We broke the rift, but cracks are still forming. What do we do? Mark asked. Evelyn's voice lowered. We prepare. In secret, deep under the surface of the planet, the Spark survivors met once again. They called themselves the Remembered Scientists, soldiers, survivors, people who had seen the truth and refused to forget. Evelyn stood before them and spoke clearly. They're not gone. The architects will come again, maybe not tomorrow, maybe not in our lifetimes. But memory is like gravity, it always pulls back. She held up the glowing device. This contains what we erased. The whole history, the war, the Eternals, Averos. Everything, gasps filled the room. One woman asked, why keep it? Evelyn looked at her. Because the next generation deserves the choice we didn't get. As months passed, Evelyn started recording not for the world, for the future. She sat in a small room, face to camera. She spoke slowly, simply, in words anyone could understand. There was a time when we met gods. They looked nothing like us. They tried to destroy us, but we fought. We lost many. And in the end, we chose to forget. You are watching this because that choice is fading. If you're seeing this, then the architects are returning. You must choose again. Remember. Erase. She saved the file and locked it inside the Spark Vault. A key for someone else's future. Warning. Years passed, Earth healed. The sky stayed whole. Wars faded. People grew. Technology advanced. Most lived happy, unaware lives. But some dreamed they. Dreamed of black skies and broken stars, of a queen without a face, of a girl who once stood between the end of the universe and everything that mattered. Evelyn never stopped watching. Sky she never married, never had children, but every day she walked among people who lived because of her. And that was enough, until one day she vanished. No trace, no note, just gone. Some said she died quietly. Others believed she returned to the rift. Mark became the keeper of the memory vault. Bryce led the new planetary defense force, and above them all, a small satellite orbited quietly. Its only purpose, to listen, to wait. And one night it picked up a signal, a voice. They remember. The satellite blinked once, then twice, and Earth, once again, began to dream. Final words, some stories are not about winning. They're about choosing to stand. Even when the stars fall, choosing to protect others. Even when the truth costs everything, and choosing to forget so others may live. Evelyn chose all of it, and though the universe may one day end, her story won't, because someone, somewhere, remembers the end.